Welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales, where we dive into the heart of royal narratives that often misrepresent, underestimate, or simply overlook the real Sussex story. I'm your host, Kelly. Today, we're tackling a recent GB News commentary by Rupert Bell, who insists that for any reconciliation with his brother, Prince Harry must eat humble pie. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, humble pie for what exactly? And why is it Harry who's expected to bear the brunt of this so-called olive branch? Let's start by dissecting the phrase humble pie. It's a phrase that implies submission, even defeat, a sentiment that might fit traditional monarchic expectations, but is woefully out of touch with the realities Harry and Meghan face today. First, let's break it down. The idea that Harry should apologise or humble himself comes from a place of expectation that royals must conform, regardless of their personal well-being. In Bell's view, the only way forward is for Harry to acknowledge his so-called mistakes. But here's the question: who decides what constitutes a mistake? What we're seeing is a long-standing, rigid expectation for royals to stay silent, to tolerate, and in Meghan's case, to endure media harassment without complaint. Harry's decision to protect his family is not a mistake. It's a right that every person, royal or otherwise, should have. Now let's look at how this humble pie narrative is layered with double standards. Why is the burden to fix things always on Harry? Let's remember other royals who have faced their own controversies. Prince Andrew comes to mind as a recent example. There's a stark contrast in how the media treats Harry and Andrew. Harry is vilified for choosing his family, while Andrew, with accusations against him, is handled with far greater tolerance in certain media circles. This leads us to a bigger issue. How did we reach a point where Harry is expected to eat humble pie just for taking his family's well-being seriously? If anything, his decision reflects courage and integrity, not the recklessness some portray. Let's talk about the importance of mental health autonomy, a cause Harry has championed long before his departure from royal duties. Mental health matters, especially in high-pressure roles. Harry isn't the only one calling for an end to stigmas around mental health. By stepping back, he set an example for anyone struggling with toxic environments. He's made it clear: real reconciliation can only happen when both sides respect each other's well-being and choices, not when one side demands compliance. Now, let's dive into the royal family dynamics and the double standards at play. We've all seen it. The royal family is expected to keep calm and carry on. But this approach doesn't consider the human toll it takes. For instance, look at historical cases of family tensions within the monarchy. Consider King Edward VIII, who abdicated the throne for love, leading to a rupture with his family that affected the monarchy for generations. Or look at Princess Margaret, whose personal life was tightly controlled by royal expectations, often at great emotional cost. But today's royals face an added layer of complexity. They're navigating the pressures of modern media, where every personal decision is scrutinised. In this context, Harry and Meghan's choice to step back seems less like a rebellion and more like an act of self-preservation. Let's talk about William and Harry's relationship. As close brothers who shared formative years under intense public scrutiny, it's clear they were each other's confidants. This bond made their rift all the more tragic. But why is it only Harry who's being called to reconcile? If their rift truly saddens William, as Bell suggests, isn't it reasonable to expect him to initiate the process privately? Instead, the public expectation places all the burden on Harry, as if the onus is solely his. This reflects a persistent double standard, where younger royals, particularly Harry, are expected to conform to outdated norms, regardless of the changing times. William's new documentary on homelessness deserves its own moment in the spotlight. In it, William touches on memories with Harry and Diana, evoking powerful emotions for viewers. It's a noble cause, and his commitment to this issue is commendable. But this documentary also reveals a deeper layer of family complexities. William talks about visiting the Passage with Harry and Diana, recalling Diana's warm, personable approach with those they met. William has carried on this legacy, but it makes you wonder, if he truly misses those shared moments, why hasn't there been more private outreach to bridge the gap with Harry? Let's consider the optics here. A televised olive branch isn't the same as a heartfelt, personal one. True reconciliation goes beyond a mention in a documentary. It's about sitting down, face to face, and having open, honest conversations without the cameras. Harry and Meghan have repeatedly expressed a desire for sincere family reconciliation. But if this public display is the extent of it, it risks coming across as more about optics than genuine healing. Now, let's shift focus to Harry and Meghan's journey. Since stepping back, they've faced unimaginable scrutiny, but have also shown tremendous resilience and commitment to their causes. Let's look at their positive impact. The Archewell Foundation is a prime example. With this foundation, Harry and Meghan have focused on issues that matter deeply to them, from mental health to empowering women and veterans. And Harry's Invictus Games, which he created long before stepping back, continue to inspire people around the world. And then there's the resilience factor. The media's scrutiny has gone beyond what we'd consider fair game. We're talking about relentless speculation over every detail of their lives, yet they've managed to rise above it, handling everything with dignity. Instead of letting negativity sideline them, they've launched projects that align with their values, demonstrating that it's possible to be productive, impactful, and self-sustaining, even outside royal protocols. The Sussexes' journey is one of independence and self-determination, a powerful example of creating one's path despite intense opposition. They're building a legacy that aligns with their passions, and that's something to celebrate. There's a fascinating divide between media narratives and public perception when it comes to Harry and Meghan. For instance, on social media, you'll find an overwhelming amount of support for the Sussexes, especially among younger audiences who appreciate their transparency and authenticity. Social media tells a different story than tabloids. While certain media outlets are eager to criticize Harry and Meghan, platforms like Instagram and Twitter reveal a base that understands and empathizes with their journey. Supporters see through the biased media portrayal, acknowledging the importance of mental health, autonomy, and family loyalty. This generation wants real, relatable figures, not ones bound by archaic traditions. As public figures, the Sussexes resonate with those who value transparency, making them incredibly relatable. Now let's get into Rupert Bell's comments as a case study. Bell, like many royal commentators, operates within a specific narrative that doesn't accommodate the Sussexes' reality. His choice of words, phrases like humble pie and admitting he's messed up, imply that only Harry needs to apologize. Analyzing these comments reveals a broader issue. The language used here, consciously or not, paints Harry as the sole problem, and it doesn't account for the pressures and hardships that led to his and Meghan's decision to step back. This one-sided perspective reflects a long-standing media bias against the Sussexes. The tabloid formula tends to prioritize sensationalism over nuance. In Bell's case, and in others, we're left with a lopsided portrayal that favors the firm's side without empathy for what Harry and Meghan went through. To wrap up, let's consider the way forward. Real reconciliation will only happen if both sides are willing to respect each other's choices, not if one side is expected to submit. Harry and Meghan aren't simply demanding independence. They're embodying values that we should all aspire to: mental health, self-respect, and family loyalty. The Sussexes' journey represents a shift in how modern royals can operate. And in a world that increasingly values transparency, empathy, and honesty, their approach just might be the most relatable path forward. Thank you for tuning in to Meghan and Harry Tales. Until next time, keep questioning the narratives and supporting the voices that choose truth and integrity over outdated expectations.